And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Sunday morning's flying weather graphic shows a band of IFR with a front here pushing into the southwest coast, back up across St. Matthew Island. Mostly marginal VFR following in behind over the Bering Sea and the Aleutians. That extends all the way up almost to Kodiak Island. Another area of marginal VFR and IFR here over the southeast interior, into the northern panhandle, and actually the north slope, looking at some areas of IFR as well. And then that IFR pulls back to portions of the western Arctic coast. There was some improving there north of the Brooks Range. Nice day over the interior tomorrow, all the way down into the Kenai Peninsula, Prince William Sound area, and mostly VFR for the southeast coast. And now IFR spreading up into Kodiak Island and Bristol Bay, with some marginal VFR starting to push into Kamishak Bay and the southern Kenai Peninsula around Kachemak Bay. And then for the overnight period tomorrow night into Monday morning, a big deterioration of conditions here with IFR spreading up into southern Alaska, all the way from the North Gulf Coast here into Prince William Sound, across much of the southern interior out to the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta. To the north, mostly VFR, and north of the Brooks Range, marginal VFR, some IFR along the Arctic coast, some IFR over the northern panhandle, otherwise marginal VFR. Improving here over the central and eastern Aleutians, as well as the Alaska Peninsula with VFR. And for the afternoon, VFR for the Fox Islands Monday afternoon, as well as the Alaska Peninsula. Otherwise, marginal VFR out here to the west. IFR lifting northward here with marginal VFR into the Koyukuk Valley, Kobuk Valley, and along the southern slopes of the western Brooks Range, IFR right out toward Kotzebue, down across the Seward Peninsula into St. Lawrence Island. And again, moisture here over southern Alaska. Looking at areas of IFR here, but the Alaska Range doing a pretty good job at blocking those lower conditions from getting north there into the Tanana Valley. So VFR there, IFR over the northern panhandle, marginal VFR to the south. For the Brooks Range tomorrow, Anatuvik, look for occasional marginal VFR, but optimistically, Adigan should be VFR throughout the day. Lake Clark and Merrill, VFR day, at least one more day of VFR flying there. Rainy, same thing, VFR. Windy, VFR. Isabel, VFR. Mintesta, VFR. And for Tanita, VFR. Portage looking good, VFR for one more day. And Chilkoot and White, VFR as well. And for the freezing levels here, 2,000 feet over the eastern Gulf of Alaska, but staying off the southeast coast there for tomorrow morning. And 2,000 feet up into Bristol Bay, 4,000 feet barely getting up toward Falls Pass. Icing, again, a lot of moisture coming in from the west and southwest here with that front swinging in. So look for considerable moderate rime icing starting to increase over Kodiak Island back into the Aleutian Range. And another zone out here, mainly affecting the Pribilof Island areas, and some lighter, less heavier icing for the eastern North Gulf Coast and the Copper River Basin. Could be mixed or rime, but only isolated moderate, mostly light. And then this moisture staying east and southeast of the Panhandle. And for the jet stream here, we're at 33,000 feet. We're looking at west-northwest winds starting out 60 knots here over the western interior, up to 80 knots down along the southeast coast there. And then back out to the west, way out to the west here, southeast winds at about 60 knots. And for the 9,000-foot wind flow chart here, this low coming in, actually coming northward here, pretty strong low there with westerlies of 45 knots, 45-knot winds blowing around that center, and then 55-knot west-northwesterlies for the far western Aleutians. And we're looking at west-northwest 35 knots across the Gulf of Alaska. And for 3,000 feet, we've got, again, that strong low that's coming northward here. 60-knot winds right along the southwest coast to Nunivak Island there. And 45 knots to the Yukon Delta, diminishing to 35 knots, say, blowing across the Selawik Valley areas. Otherwise, the Aleutians, mostly westerly at 45 to 55 knots, and light over the southeast coast. So moving on to turbulence, look for a pretty good area, pretty large area of considerable moderate turbulence here Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta into the southern Kuskokwim Valley, all of Bristol Bay, of course, the Aleutian Range and Alaska Peninsula out to the Fox Islands, and then with stronger winds back to the west over that other low, considerable moderate turbulence there from Shimia to the Komodorsky Islands.